Hey guys, I hope everybody had a happy Easter and enjoyed the sunshine over the weekend. First of all, happy birthday to Drew. Her birthday was yesterday. Happy birthday to Jane and Mimi. Their birthdays are on Thursday, our test day. And happy birthday to Ava Michael. Her birthday is on Saturday. So lots of celebrations. Make sure you reach out to those friends because this is a challenging time to have a birthday in quarantine isolation. In this video, I'm going to go over instructions for tomorrow's test, and I'm also going to go over a review for you of what you need to know for the test. Instructions for Thursday's test. So class starts, I have some written down, that's what I'm looking at. So class starts at 12:45 tomorrow. So at 12:45 on Thursday, you will go to Schoology and your test will be linked as a PDF assignment on Schoology, just like the quiz was. So you don't have to print the test, just like you didn't have to print the quiz. Some people did, that's fine, but you don't have to. Make sure that you number your problems, make sure you write legibly, make sure you show your work all the problems out so we can follow your thought process, and put formulas and your answers and units. You will submit your test as a PDF to that assignment in Schoology. If you submit it as a PDF instead of just an image, if you actually do a PDF, you can get 4 bonus points for doing that because that makes it much easier for us to click through rather than downloading images. So upload it as a PDF and you'll get 4 bonus points for doing that. The test is only 14 questions. So everyone, including extended time students, should finish within that 90-minute block. That's plenty of time, and the class ends at 2:15. So you have 12:45 to 2:15. Mr. Chine and I will be on the IGLIT conference all this period, all Wednesday's period, as well as all Thursday period. So if you have any questions, come on that IGLIT conference. Mr. Chine and I will be there if you have any questions. You do not need to do the video again. That slowed our computers down, seeing all 70 whatever videos of you all as you're taking the test. So you do not have to have your video on the Schoology conference, but you are still held by the honor code. So this is only seeing what you know. You still can use your notes, but only use your knowledge, your information. Don't ask anybody questions. You're not texting your friends or emailing or FaceTiming or anything of that during the assessment. So make sure that you're still held by that honor code. You can obviously use your phone to take a picture and upload it to Schoology. But then don't do anything with that picture afterwards. That's your work. Don't give that to anybody else. Okay, so to review today, Mr. Chine and I will be available on the IGLIT conference this whole class period, Wednesday's whole class period. We can do smaller breakout sessions too. So if you have any questions or want to go over specific things, we can do a smaller breakout just if you have already had a couple students ask for that. You can, to help you prepare for the test, really watch this video. Work these problems, pause the video, work the problem, and then check it with my answer as well. You can rewatch any lesson that was confusing for you. You can go back and watch those videos. You could also rework any of the homework checks, not resubmit them, but you can see those problems and rework those too. So let's go ahead. I have 17 review problems to work through with you. There are 14 questions on the test, 17 problems for us to review right now. So let's go ahead and get started with that. Okay, so here is my review sheet for the Chapter 7 test. It's over lessons 7.1, 7.2, 7.3, not area of kites, 7.4, 5, 7.7, not 7.6. There is a chapter review in your book on page 333 if you want additional problems after this review. Those are some additional problems that you could look through. Things that you need to know, I'm going to read through this review. Formulas, you need to know area of a parallelogram, area of a triangle, area of a trapezoid, and volume of a rectangular prism. So since you can use your notes on the test, you want to make sure that you have these formulas from your notes ready to go. For units, you need to make sure that you have your answers have units as well. If it asks for a dimension or a measurement or a distance, the measurement of the base or the height, that's just units. So that would just be feet or meters or inches or whatever it is. If it ever asks for area, you want to put units squared. So feet squared, meters squared. Surface area, same thing, units squared. Volume, units cubed. So volume, units cubed. Make sure that you have all your answers have units. Now remember, a dimension, a measurement, or a distance is like just finding that measurement. just finding that base or that height. The area, you're finding like how much is on that surface there. So two-dimensional area of a rectangle, how much space is that? Surface area of a three-dimensional figure, how much space if you were to wrap it in wrapping paper? How much space on the outside is it if you were to cover it with a blanket? How much paper would you need if you were to build a box, a cube out of the paper? Anything around the outside of a three-dimensional figure is surface area. Volume is the space inside. So if I were to fill a box with something, how much volume inside can that hold? So anything on the inside, filling something up is volume. Surface area is talking about the space outside. You also need to make sure you understand three-dimensional figures. So in solids, how many faces, edges, and vertices they have, and be able to name a prism or a pyramid. We'll go over that. We'll go over all of this. You need to be able to find the missing dimension given the area of a parallelogram or of a triangle. You need to be able to find the missing dimension given the volume of a rectangular prism. And you need to be able to find the surface area of a rectangular prism and a triangular prism. So that's the review sheet. Let's go through some review problems. Okay, so the first one, let's find the area of this parallelogram. Area of a parallelogram, the formula is just simply base times height. Now it's really important that you remember that the relationship that the base and the height have in any formula that we talk about base and the height is that they form that right angle. So you're always looking for that right angle with that base and that height. Okay, so pause and find the area of that parallelogram. Okay, you should have done base times height, so 3 times 12, and gotten an answer of 36. Don't forget your units, meters squared. Next problem, if I've given you that the area of a parallelogram is 93 feet squared, the base is 3 feet, what is the height? Go ahead, pause and get your answer. Okay, so you should write the formula area of a parallelogram is base times height. So 93 equals 3 times what? Divide both sides by 3. 93 divided by 3 is 31. So your height is 31 feet. Okay, next let's find the area of this triangle. So pause and get your answer. The area of that triangle, two formulas we talked about, base times height divided by 2 or 1/2 base times height. Remember, you only divide by 2 once. You can either divide the product by 2 or you could divide either the base or the height by 2. The base and the height, you're looking for those two measurements that form that right angle. So here's my 6, and the distance from here to the tippy top of that triangle forming that right angle is 7. So I'm going to use 6 and 7. So 6 times 7 divided by 2 is 42 divided by 2, which is 21. My units would be meters squared. Or I could have, instead of dividing my product by 2, I could have divided one of my base or my height by 2. So I could have divided 6 by 2 and said that's 3, and then 7 times 3 is 21 meters squared. Remember, you only divide by 2 once, either your product or just one of the base or the height. Okay, the next problem, the area of a triangle is 20 yards squared. If the base is 10 yards, what's the height? Go ahead, pause and get your answer. Okay, now this was a question similar to one on your quiz that some students struggled on. So let's work this out. We know that the formula for area of a triangle is base times height divided by 2. So your product, whenever you multiply your base and your height, you divide that by 2 in order to get your area. Okay, so 10 times something divided by 2 gives me 20. 10 times something divided by 2 gives me 20. So really 10 times something has to give me 40, because instead of, if I have 20 before I divided by 2, I got 40. I'm going to multiply both sides by 2. to say, okay, so 10 times something has to give me 40. 10 times what gives me 44? So my height is 4 yards. 4 yards is my height. Since it's just a distance or a measurement or dimension, it's just the units. Now I can always check my answer to make sure. 10 times 4 is 40, divided by 2 is 20. It works. Some of you all missed that on the quiz, so make sure that you can check your answer. Plug it back to the formula and make sure that it works. Okay, next problem. Go ahead and find the area of this trapezoid. Pause and get your answer. Area of the trapezoid, two formulas we talked about. You can use either one. 1/2 b1 plus b2 times the height, or b1 plus b2 divided by 2 times the height. Now the thing is that your two bases that you add together have to be the set of parallel lines. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're the ones on the bottom. 6 here, does 6 have a parallel line? No, 7 is not parallel to 6. It has to be the set of parallel lines. So it doesn't, again, mean that they're on the bottom. So the 5 and the 10 are your set of parallel lines. That's your base. So 10 plus 5 divided by 2 times your height, which is that measurement that forms that right angle, is that distance between your two bases with that right angle. So that's 4. So I have 15 divided by 2 times 4. 15 divided by 2 is 7.5 times 4. So let's do 7.5 times 4. 5 times 4 is 20. 4 times 7 is 28 plus 2 is 30. I have one decimal, so I move my decimal over. And I get 30. So my answer is 30 meters squared. You know, one thing I forgot to put on that review is area of composite figures. So remember, composite figure is just a figure of other shapes put together. So here, this is a pentagon. We don't know formula for area of a pentagon, but what we do know how to find is we can break this apart. So go ahead, pause, and get your answer. Okay, so you should break this apart into a triangle and a rectangle. So your triangle here, area of a triangle, you're going to do base times height divided by 2. Looking for those two measurements that form that right angle. We have this as our base, so we can do 8. And the height from there to here with that right angle is 4. So 8 times 4 divided by 2. 8 times 4 is 32. 32 divided by 2 is 16. So area of that triangle is 16. Now I need to find the area of this rectangle. So area is base times height. So just 9 times 8, which is 72. Now I add those together. 72 plus 16 is 88. So my answer is 88 meters squared. Composite figure, break it apart. Let's do one more composite figure. Let's do, okay, go ahead and find the area of this composite figure. These are the exact same, I just did it twice because there's two different ways to work it. So pause and get your answer, just do it once, find the area of that composite figure. Okay, you could have broken it here. If you broke it into two rectangles here, this measurement is all that you want for that rectangle here, and that's 6 inches. You just want this measurement here, which is 4. So this is 24, 6 times 4. Now for this one, you want this whole measurement, which is 10, and just this little part right here, which is 3. So 3 times 10 is 30. Add 30 and 24 together, and you get 54 inches squared. Okay, if you did it either way, your answer should be 54 inches squared. If you broke it apart in another way, you could have broken it up right here into two rectangles like this. Now, if you did that, this rectangle, yes, it has 4, but then it's not 6 because 6 is just this part from here to here. You want the whole measurement. So if this part is 6, from here to here is 6, and look here, this part is 3, then you have 6 plus 3, so that whole measurement is 9 inches. So 9 times 4 is 36. 6 Same thing here, you have a little bit more work to do. Yes, this is 3. Okay, we're good with 3, but we just want this measurement. This whole thing is 10. We know that this part is 4, from here to here is 4. So that means that this must be 6 if the whole thing is 10. So 6 times 3 is 18. And then if you add 36 plus 18, you will get 54. So 54 inches squared. You could work that either way. This one has a little bit more work, but you can work it either way to get your answer. Okay, so now let's start talking about three-dimensional figures and solids. Remember the difference between a prism and a pyramid. So a prism has two parallel bases that are the same. A pyramid has one base that comes to a point. So make sure you understand the difference between those, and how to name them is you first name the base, the shape of the base, and then you say whether it's a prism or a pyramid. So you could say rectangular prism means that it has a base of a rectangular that are two parallel bases. Or rectangular pyramid has one base of a rectangle and then it comes up to a point. So let's look through a couple. We're going to name them, count the faces, edges, and vertices, and practice with that. So this one right here, let's first of all name this solid. So if we were to name this, let's look and see if it's a prism or a pyramid. Does it all come up to one point, or does it have two bases? So go ahead, pause, and see if you can get the faces, edges, vertices, and the name. Okay, so it has two bases. It has this triangle here and this triangle here. So those are the two bases, even though, again, it's not sitting on the base. Those are your two bases. That's it, because they're the two parallel identical sides. So it is a triangular prism. That's how you name it, triangular prism. Okay, now as far as the number of faces, let's count each face that it has. So it has this triangle 1, that triangle in the back 2, this big rectangle in the front, this rectangle in the back, and then one on the bottom. So that should be 5 faces. For edges, you're counting every single straight line, every edge. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then connect them. 7, 8, 9. 9 edges, and then how many vertices, or how many points that 3 of the lines come together to form that point. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 vertices. All right, looking here, let's name this shape, faces, edges, and vertices. Pause and get your answer. Okay, so for faces, it has this on the bottom here. So that's 1, and then it has 3 sides, 2, 3, and then 4. So it should have 4 faces. How many edges? So how many straight lines does this have? 1, 2, 3, and then bring it all up. 4, 5, 6. So 6 edges. And then how many vertices? So how many points? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 vertices. Let's name this figure. So since it all comes up to a point, right there, it all comes up to a point, so you know it's a pyramid. And then name it on its base. Its base is a triangle, so it should be a triangular pyramid. So hopefully you see the difference between a triangular prism and a triangular pyramid. Yes, they both have triangles as their bases. This one has 2 of the same bases that are parallel. This one comes to a point, pyramid. All right, pause and get your answer for the faces, edges, vertices, and name of this figure, and then name this figure. Okay, so let's count the faces. We have this one in the front, this one on the top, this one on the back, and that one on the bottom. So that's 4, and then the 2 sides, 5, 6. 6 faces. The edges, count how many lines. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 12 edges, and then vertices, count those points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 vertices. This should be a rectangular prism. Rectangular prism. Okay, now this one, just name it. It's also a rectangular prism, but it's more specific because it has all sides the same. All sides the same is a cube. Let's practice this with one more problem. One more problem here. So faces, edges, vertices, and the name. Pause and get your answer. All right, so faces, we have this triangle in the front. That's 1. This one on the side, 2. That one in the back, 3. That one on the side, 4. And then your base. So you have 5 faces. Edges, let's count. This on the bottom, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then bring it all up. 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 edges. And vertices, let's count those points. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then bring it all up, 5. 5 vertices. The name comes up to a point, so you know it's a pyramid, and the base is a rectangle. So it's a rectangular pyramid. Okay, let's now switch gears and go to surface area. Remember, finding surface area, you're finding the area of each face. So think of if you were wrapping it in wrapping paper, if you were to put paint around this, what's the surface area that you would cover? Anything that you're putting around the outside is talking about surface area. So you can draw the net. There is room for error with the net because you could mistake some of the measurements. You also could list out the faces. That's the way that I do it, and so you can do it either way. You should get the same answer. If you list out the faces, you know that you have 6 faces in a rectangular prism. That's rectangular prism, 6 faces. So we have this front face here and a matching back. Sorry, if you haven't paused and got your answer, pause and get your answer. We have the top and the bottom, and we have the left side and the right side. Okay, so for the front, all of these lines that are like this are 2. So that's 2, that's 2, that's 2, and that's 2. All of the lines that are up and down like this are 8. That's 8. That one's 8. Oh, my blue's running out. This is 8. And that's 8. So for my front, I have 2 times 8. So 16. My back is going to match because remember they're parallel identical bases. So 16. My top, any line that's like this is 6. So my top has 2 and 6. My bottom has 2 and 6. So top is 12, bottom is 12. Now my left side and my right side, let's look at the right side here. I have 6 and 8. I'll have 6 and 8. So that's 48 and 48. Add those together. So let's see, that's 10, 20, 32. 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 12, 15. 152 inches squared because we found surface area. That's what you should have gotten for the surface area of that rectangular prism. Okay, go ahead and work this one. Pause and get your answer for surface area of this triangular prism, knowing that that's that right angle there between that 3 and the 4. For a surface area of a triangular prism, you know you have 5 faces. You have a front triangle and a back triangle. So front, I like putting triangles so I remind myself, okay, it's a triangle, I need to divide that by 2. So front triangle and back triangle. I have this right side here, this left back. So right side and left side, knowing that those are not identical. And then I have my bottom. Okay, front triangle, 3 times 4 divided by 2. So 12 divided by 2 is 6. Back triangle is identical, so 6. My right side here, I have 9 and 5. Those are 5. So 9 and 5 is 45. My left side, I have 3 and this measurement here, which is also 9. All those lines are 9. So that's 27. And my bottom, I have 4 and 9, so that's 36. Add that all together. 6, 12, 17, 24, 30, 4, 5, 6, 9, 12, so 120 centimeters squared is my surface area. Looking at this next one, find the volume of this rectangular prism. Volume of that rectangular prism. Pause and get your answer. You know the formula for volume is length times width times height, so just simply multiply all three numbers. 2 times 6 times 8. So 12 times 8 is 96 inches cubed because you multiplied it by 3. You multiplied it 3 times. So inches times inches times inches is inches cubed. This one, find the volume. Same sort of problem, it just has decimals. So make sure you understand how to multiply by decimals. Pause and get your answer to find the volume. Volume equals length times width times height. So 3.2 times 2 times 1.6. 3.2 times 2 is 6.4. 6.4 times 1.6. 6 times 4 is 24. 6 times 6 is 36, plus 2 is 38. 1 times 4, 1 times 6, add 4, 12, 10. Now move my decimal over 1, 2 times, so 10.24 millimeters cubed because it's volume. All right, last two problems. Here's another volume problem, except this time it has fractions. Same sort of thing, just has fractions. Make sure you understand how to multiply mixed numbers. Pause and get your answer. You know that volume equals length times width times height. So you're going to do 7 times 2.5 times 3 1/4. Improper fractions. So 7 over 1 times 2 times 2 is 4 plus 1 is 5. 5 over 2 times 4 times 3 is 12 plus 1 is 13 over 4. Let's multiply this. 1 times 2 times 4 is 8. 7 times 5 is 35. 35 times 13. 15 is 455. Okay, now that's an improper fraction, so I need to make sure that I convert that to a mixed number. So 455 divided by 8. 8 can go into 45. 5 times is 40. 8 can go into 55. 6 times is 48. And 7 left over, nothing else to bring down. So that's my remainder, which becomes my numerator, 56 7/8 kilometers cubed. All right, here, now this is a little bit of a different problem. Ignore that. There's a little bit of a different problem. Here's your rectangular prism. This is 6, this is 4. What's your height if the volume is 72 meters cubed? Pause and get your answer. You know that volume equals length times width times height. So 72 equals 6 times 4 times your height. 72 equals 24 times what? Divide by 24. 72 divided by 24 is 3. So 3 meters is your height. So you can work backwards with that as well. Okay guys, so hopefully you feel reviewed for the test. You can watch this video, rework the problems. Mr. Chine and I are available on the Schoology conference. We just want to let you know also we're so proud of you. We know that this is a completely new, different way of learning. You're doing a great job watching the videos, taking those good notes, doing the homework check. Hopefully you're in the routine. And so we're really, really proud of you. We miss you all. We miss seeing you all and interacting with you all. But we're really proud of you all for doing a whole new way of learning. So thank you so much for everything that you all have done and following the directions. I know there's a lot going on and a lot to keep track of. So thank you very much. We really appreciate everything that you are doing to make sure that you're still learning. We will cover, after we finish chapter 7, we'll combine chapters 9 and 10 into one, and that will be our last chapter of 6th grade. Okay, thanks guys. Miss y'all.